My beloved brothers and sisters, I welcome you to the edge of something sacred. You have not wandered here by accident, and you have not survived your nights in vain. You have been carried, lifted, and held by a grace that does not flinch when the fire rises. When God prepares to shift your life, not a little, not a bit, but forever, He sends signs, not of thunder or fury, but of quiet reckonings that thunder in the soul. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the world grows strangely still. The clamor of conversation, the familiar hum of daily living, the noise we've grown so used to. It all begins to hush. And at first we fight it. Oh yes, we claw at the silence as if it were some unified ghost. We turn the volume up on our televisions. We scroll endlessly through our phones. We knock on doors that no longer open. But still the silence grows. It does not ask for permission. It does not apologize. It comes softly, steadily, with the dignity of a thing that knows its purpose. And when it comes, it settles in your bones like winter wind, cold, cutting, and necessary. The silence isn't empty, though it feels like a void. No, child, it is full of truth you've been too distracted to hear. Full of instructions you've been too busy to receive, full of questions you have not dared to ask. The silence comes not to punish, but to prepare. You see, when God is about to shift the landscape of your life, He begins by quieting the land. He hushes the voices that once soothed you, because they cannot speak where you're going. He dims the lights of old paths, because you've outgrown them. He draws the curtain on chapters you weren't bold enough to end yourself. And suddenly, you find yourself in the stillness, looking around, wondering why the phone won't ring, why the invitations have stopped, why your name isn't on the list. But I tell you now, you have not been forgotten. You have been chosen. And when you are chosen, you are set apart. And when you are set apart, solitude becomes your sanctuary, not your sentence. It is in the still places that God does His deepest work. Look at nature. The seed breaks beneath the soil in silence. No audience applauds. No trumpet announces the moment it dies in darkness to become something greater. And yet, that is where transformation begins. Beneath the surface, beneath the noise, beneath the light. So too does your becoming begin in the hush of God's hand on your life. You are not being ignored. You are being insulated. He is drawing you inward so He can speak without competition. You've been surrounded by too many voices, some well-meaning, some manipulative, and now your Creator wants a private conversation. So He dims the distractions and turns the world's volume down. And when the silence grows louder than the noise once was, that is when the divine whisper begins. At first, you may resist. Lord knows we all do. We want to hear from God, but not like this. We want Him to speak in thunder and fire, not in the absence of sound. We want the burning bush, the parted sea, the pillar of cloud. But oftentimes, God's greatest revelations do not roar. They resonate. And oh, how they resonate in the silence. In that quiet space, you start to see yourself. Really see yourself. The masks fall off. The performances end. The applause fades. And all that's left is the truth of who you are and who God is calling you to become. The silence strips you of what you've used to shield your soul. It removes your need to please. It shows you the faces of fear you've carried like heirlooms. It reveals how long you've been tolerating things meant only for a season. Yes, child, in the silence, the mirror is clean. And though what you see may make you tremble, it is there, right there, that God begins to pour wisdom into the cracks of your confusion. And when you finally stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin to ask, what is this trying to teach me? That is when the shift begins. That is when heaven leans in close and the voice of God, deep and sure and full of mercy, begins to say, be still. I am doing something new in you. I am pruning. I am purifying. I am preparing you for places your feet have not yet touched. Some of us are so accustomed to cows, we confuse peace with punishment. But peace is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of God. And when He clears your space, He is not subtracting, He is sanctifying. He is removing the excess to make room for the extraordinary. There is sacred power in being alone with God. That's where warriors are made. That's where prophets are birthed. That's where healing begins to rise like bread in an oven, slow and hidden, but sure. That's where you learn to walk with dignity when no one is clapping. That's where you learn to sit in the dark and trust that dawn will not forget you. And beloved, dawn never forgets. So if you find yourself in a season where friends have faded, where your phone is silent, where the invitations have stopped coming and the spotlight has dimmed, do not panic. Praise. Praise because you are on holy ground. Praise because God saw fit to take you to the wilderness, not to destroy you, but define you. Praise because He trusts you enough to talk to you in the quiet. And if you can survive the silence, if you can sit still in the absence of noise and learn to listen with your soul, then you will emerge not only wiser, but witnessed by God Himself. And when He speaks, it will not be a shout. It will not be a scream. It will be a still, small voice that sounds like peace, that feels like healing, that tastes like joy, and that changes everything. So do not fear the quiet. Do not run from the solitude. Do not curse the silence. It is not a prison. It is a cocoon. It is not the end. It is the in-between. And God does some of His finest work there. You, child of grace, are not forgotten. You are being formed. And when the silence has done its work, when it has peeled away the unnecessary, poured in the truth, and polished your spirit until it shines, then and only then will the doors swing open, and the new thing shall be revealed. And you will say, through tears and triumph, "It was good for me to be alone, because I heard Him clearly there." So sit still, beloved, be patient. Be watchful, because when the silence grows louder, God is speaking something life-changing. There comes a peculiar H, a soft but certain pull in the spirit, when the garments that once clothed your comfort no longer fit your becoming. The things, the places, the people, the routines, they do not wound you, not directly. No, they simply stop fitting. You look around your life and realize it no longer wears well on you. It's like trying to step back into shoes that carried you through miles of wilderness. Blessed shoes, worn and true, but now they pinch your toes, they press on your bones, and they will not carry you into what comes next. And this, beloved, is no accident. There is a holy discomfort that visits us just before transformation. It doesn't come with fire from the sky or angels at the door. It comes in the form of restlessness, like the body trying to stretch beyond its own skin. You find yourself in rooms that once thrilled you, and now they only echo. The conversations you once clung to seem hollow. The affection that once warmed you now leaves you cold. The accolades you used to reach for no longer excite your spirit, and the identity you used to wear proudly now hangs on you like borrowed clothing. Ill-fitting, unfamiliar, and untrue. This is not arrogance. This is awakening. When God is preparing to move you into a new season, He begins by making you uncomfortable in your current one. He does not force you with chains. He frees you with change. He begins to close the windows you keep trying to pry open. He lets the music fade that you used to dance to. He allows you to taste the bitterness in things you once called sweet. And you, being sensitive and sacred, start to feel the friction. You don't know what's happening. You only know you can't stay here, not like this. It feels like loss, but it is really release. It feels like endings, but it is the beginning of your elevation. You are molting, shedding the skin that can no longer hold the glory of who you are becoming. You are outgrowing the scaffolding that held you while you healed. And sometimes that feels like betrayal. But listen to me. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go of what no longer serves your soul. Even Jesus walked away from the familiar to fulfill his calling. Even he left his home to walk among strangers and speak to the winds and sit with the broken. He could not stay where he was and become who he was sent to be. And neither can you. Do not confuse comfort with calling. Comfort tells you to stay where it's safe. Calling dares you to walk where it's sacred. And sometimes the cost of the call is everything that once made you feel secure. But oh, what you gain in the trade. What you gain is alignment. You gain the rhythm of heaven pulsing in your veins. You gain the clarity of who you are apart from what you do, apart from who applauds, apart from what people expect. You are not here to stay the same. You are here to evolve, to rise, to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And that remembrance will require release. You may have to say goodbye to friendships that were beautiful in their time, but now bind you with nostalgia. You may have to walk away from opportunities that feed your ego but starve your purpose. You may even have to grieve versions of yourself that helped you survive, but can't help you soar. Let it fall away, my dear, let it fall. Let the titles fall. Let the roles fall. Let the old stories fall. If it must go, let it go. For nothing that is meant for your next chapter will ever be afraid of your growth. The people who are truly for you will not be threatened by your transformation. They will celebrate it. The dreams that are truly divine will not demand you stay small to chase them. And the spaces that are truly sacred will not shrink when you begin to expand. But beware, not everyone will understand. Some will accuse you of changing. And you are. You are changing. You are healing. You are aligning. You are becoming someone who no longer fits into what once was. That's not betrayal. That's birth. That's not selfish. That's sacred. And those who love you deeply will adjust their arms to embrace the new dimensions of your soul. So if you find yourself feeling strange in familiar places, if the things that once made you feel alive now feel like cages, if the applause you once craved now echoes without meaning, take heart. You are not broken. You are breaking through. You are peeling back the layers of expectation to reveal the truth of your identity. You are being called to stand in rooms your ancestors only dreamed of. You are being positioned to speak with a voice that thundered inside you for years, but now demands to be heard. You are moving into the land of promise, and you cannot carry everything with you. Some of the weight must fall away, and when it does, when you finally surrender the old shoes, the old songs, the old skin, you will feel light. Not because life has gotten easier, but because your soul is no longer fighting the gravity of things it has outgrown. And oh, what a glory it is to walk upright in your truth. What a gift it is to not shrink to fit places you've transcended. What a joy it is to finally stop apologizing for becoming whole. There is no guilt in your growth. There is no shame in your shedding. And there is no fear in your future. Not when God is the one calling you forward. He who made the stars and named them one by one has also named you, called you by your true name, and he will not dress you in destiny while you are still clinging to what used to cover your survival. So do not be afraid when the unraveling begins. Do not panic when your appetite changes, when you crave solitude over social climbing, when you'd rather speak truth than be liked, when you choose peace over performance. These are signs, not of rebellion, but of realignment. You are walking in rhythm now. And with each step away from what no longer fits, you are stepping into what was always meant for you. You are walking toward divine appointments, soul-deep friendships, sacred work, and the kind of joy that doesn't depend on applause. So yes, things are falling away, and yes, it's painful, and yes, it feels uncertain. But hear me now. You are not losing yourself. You are finding yourself. And the self you are uncovering, she is radiant. She is wise. She is rooted. She is ready. Let what no longer fits fall away, and walk boldly into the space God has carved just for you. It has your name on it. It always has. There is a pain that visits all of us. It sits in the quiet corners of our memory, lingers in the shadows of our smiles, and walks beside us like an old friend we never meant to meet. It may arrive without warning, or it may grow slowly over time, like vines creeping up the walls of a house, inch by inch, until you can no longer see the windows. You know the kind of pain I mean. The pain of being misunderstood, even by those who claim to know your heart. The pain of disappointment, when what you prayed for didn't come, or what you trusted was broken in two. The pain of betrayal, of being left behind, of burying someone whose laughter still rings in your ears. The pain of waking up in the morning wondering if the light is worth chasing again. Yes, child, I know that pain. I know it in my marrow. I have tasted it in the salt of my tears, and I have carried it in the basket of my soul through many storms. And yet, I am here to tell you something tender and holding that pain. Though it hurt you, though it shook you, though it bent you low, was not in vain. There is no suffering so great that God cannot redeem it. No wound so deep that he cannot reach it. No heartbreak so final that he cannot breathe new life through the cracks. What once nearly broke you will one day be the very thing that builds you. But not at first. First, the pain feels senseless. First, the nights are heavy and the silence unbearable. First, you wonder how your prayers could rise while your life was falling apart. You ask questions with no answers. You shout at the heavens and hear nothing in return. You fold into yourself, aching for a reason, a meaning, a balm. And then, slowly, almost like spring after a brutal winter, something begins to shift. You begin to see glimpses, moments, glimmers of what God was doing, even when you couldn't see his hand. You remember how the storm forced you to stop and be still, how the loss carved out a depth in you that joy alone could never have shaped, how the very fire that tried to consume you refined your soul instead. It was not punishment. It was preparation. Because you are being built for more than survival. You are being shaped for significance. Your pain has purpose, not because it was fair, not because it was good, but because God is good. And the beauty of the divine is that he takes what was meant to destroy and uses it to deliver. He takes the ashes and presses them into oil. He takes the wilderness and turns it into a wellspring. He takes the cross and turns it into resurrection. Oh yes, child, he is the only one who can do such a thing. You see, when God is about to change your life forever, he often begins by allowing something in you to break. Not to punish you, but to open you, to split you wide enough so his healing can rush in. To stretch your faith until it can hold the weight of the calling he's placing on your life. You don't get purpose without pressure. You don't get testimony without testing. You don't get anointing without aching. So if you've been weeping, know that those tears are watering something sacred. If you've been walking through fire, know that you are not being burned. You are being branded with destiny. If you've been stumbling in the dark, know that even the night is as light to him. And the pain. Oh, the pain that tried to bury you. God is turning it into seed. What was taken from you will be returned. Not always in the same form, but with greater depth, greater peace, greater strength. You will find that the pain gave you eyes to see others more clearly, a heart to hold them more gently, and a soul that understands what it means to suffer and still rise. That's what purpose does. It gives pain a place to go, because pain that has nowhere to go festers. It poisons the spirit, curdles the joy. But when God steps in and reroutes that pain through the rivers of his grace, it becomes something else. It becomes testimony. It becomes truth. It becomes a soil out of which new life grows. You begin to speak not from theory, but from experience. You begin to walk into rooms with power, not because you have never fallen, but because you did and you got back up. You begin to comfort others with the same comfort that once cradled your broken heart. And suddenly your life becomes a lighthouse, illuminated not in spite of the storms, but because of them. That, beloved, is how purpose is born, not in the applause, not in the perfection, but in the pressing. And you, who have been pressed on every side, you are being shaped for glory. Now, I do not mean fame nor the world's fleeting definition of success. I mean a glory that whispers through generations. A glory that speaks of strength earned in silence. A glory that tells your children's children, she endured, and because she did, we now stand taller. There are gifts in you, buried beneath the rubble of your hardest days, and God, faithful and tender, is uncovering them one by one. He is turning your mess into a message, your valley into a voice, your burden into a bridge for others to cross. So do not despise your pain. Do not curse the very fire that forged your wisdom. Do not be ashamed of what you had to endure, because that pain was a teacher. And though it spoke in harsh tones, it taught you strength. It taught you discernment. It taught you resilience. And most of all, it taught you dependence. The sacred kind. The kind that presses your face to the floor and reminds you that your help comes not from men, but from the hills, from the holy. And oh, when you rise from that place, when you rise not just healed, but whole, there is a beauty about you that no mirror can reflect. There is a light that no storm can snuff out. There is a courage that no fear can shake. You have become more than a survivor. You have become a vessel of purpose, and the world will feel it when you speak. They will not know the full weight of your journey, but they will feel the power of it in your presence. They will not see the nights you cried alone, but they will sense the river of compassion flowing from your eyes. They will not know how many pieces you were in, but they will witness the masterpiece God made from the brokenness. That is what becomes of pain in the hands of the divine. So let the tears come if they must. Let the heart break open if it needs to. But never, not for one moment, believe that your suffering is wasted. Never believe that God does not see. Never believe that this valley is where your story ends. You are not buried. You are planted, and something beautiful is growing in you. Something strong, something eternal, something divinely purposeful. Just wait, just trust, just hold on, because the pain will pass. But the purpose, it will last forever. So if you feel the silence growing louder, if you feel your skin stretching against your old identity, if your wounds are starting to speak in the voice of wisdom, know this: God is about to change your life forever. He is not slow, He is strategic, He is not far, He is faithful. And His timing, though it may not align with the ticking of our clocks, is always wrapped in mercy and crowned with truth. So stand still.
Be brave.
Lift your chin to the sky and whisper, I am ready, Lord. I am yours. Take me where you will. And watch the mountains move.